Welcome back to On the Line. Of course, Juan Roque, the Rhino Ryan Knowles, and coming from Gangplank here in Chandler, Arizona, and talking a little about the defense right now. 2012 ASU defense. This is a unit not a lot of people thought was going to amount to crap because of what happened last season, the meltdown. They lost Perfect. They lost Bolden, who didn't really play last season, but they were talking about all the losses and how is this defense going to respond?
Especially in the linebacking corps. I mean, you talked about those guys, but also I think
Osama Nierbor caught a lot of flack. Keelan Johnson caught a lot of flack, and
then not having those sound presence of guys like Shelly Lyons and Colin Parker, I think we thought was going to hurt a little bit too. But Brandon McGee stepping up the way he did into that leader position and just really kind of setting the tone, leading by example for the guys around him. I mean, he picked up over 100 tackles this year and was just seemed to be in on every single play.
He's going to get a shot on Sundays.
He's really became the kind of the tone setter for this defense. And you talked about the secondary, but their pass defense was ranked #1 in the conference, second in total defense, second in sacks. I think the defense was a huge surprise in 2012.
I think the whole unit as a whole.
Big reason why was Will Sutton. I mean, here's a guy who, his kind of, some would say he's underachieved for his talent level going into this year, and he just, burst onto the scene and was a man among boys.
Burst is a good way to put it.
I mean,
AP All-American too. Just got named.
Unanimous All-American. 58 tackles, 20 for loss. 10.5 sacks from the defensive tackle position is huge. 5 pass breakups and 3 forced fumbles. I mean, he really filled up the stat sheet this year and really lived up to that potential that a lot of people saw when he came out of Corona Centennial.
Without question, Sutton was one of the most important players on his team. When you think about the meltdown after Oregon, after the big plays, had he stayed in that game, I'm not saying ASU would have won, but I think it would have been a whole different ballgame. I think when Sutton went down, I think everybody in the stands deflated.
Yeah, this team was a whole different team without him out there, and you shudder to think how big of an impact he could have made had he been 100% for the season.
Absolutely. So Sutton had the biggest impact, biggest surprise.
Him, and I think that also Carl Bradford. Bradford was a big surprise.
Only a sophomore.
Because he coming in. The guy was a high school running back for the most part, and for him to come in and play the way he did at that double backer position in a new formation.
It was built for him.
In a new formation, guys never really played before. No one on the defense really had. It was in a modified 3-4 defense. He had 73 tackles, 17.5 for loss. Tied Will Sutton for the team leading sacks with 10.5. Had probably the defensive play of the year, that interception against USC.
That was sweet.
3 forced fumbles and 2 fumble recoveries. This guy. He's only, like you said, only a sophomore playing at that double backer position. I expect him to be kind of the tone setter for the defense next year. Even if Will Sutton comes back, he's going to continue to develop and just be an impact player for this team. And then rounding out rounding out some of the players here. Chris Young, I think was a big surprise coming out of the JUCO ranks for him to play that spur position as well as he did. A couple sacks. 75 tackles, 14 for loss. He was among the league leaders in tackles for loss there for a while, and really came in and made an impact. I was very impressed with him. Keelan Johnson was kind of a leader in that secondary and led the team with 5 interceptions. Defense as a whole was just a huge surprise. Biggest impact for me was Bradford, Sutton, and Young. MVPs, though, it's got a tie to the 2 high school teammates, Will Sutton and Brandon McGee from Corona Centennial.
Alrighty. And just as we're wrapping up, I'm in 100% agreement right now. I can't even begin to think who else would be worthy of those accolades on any level. And I'll just wrap it up with my player to watch for 2013, Carl Bradford, All Pac-12, All-American. He's only going to get better, and I think he's even going to get bigger. So that's going to be really scary. Heck of a job defense. We've always loved watching you. You were very fun to watch sometimes. Sometimes you were a little aggravating to watch.
Especially against the run.
For the most part, good times.
Yeah, the run defense has got to get better. I think that will improve as Jackson Hood gets better. But, Todd Graham, he's got a defensive background.
Paul Randolph.
Yeah, exactly. I think this unit's only going to get better. Absolutely.
All right, so that's our wrap-up for the 2012 defensive Sun Devils. And when we get back, good and the bad and the ugly 2012. What's it going to be? Ryan will let you know when we get back.